big announcement. Lay it on us. What is it today?
Well, it's about open sourcing. We want to now open source the AI features from Copilot in VS Code.
Believe it or not, Microsoft just open sourced their AI editor. They open sourced the tool that originally started the AI coding bubble, GitHub Copilot.
We try hard to be a good open source project, and open source is one of the reasons I think we got all this developer love. Open sourcing is very important, dear to our heart. It's a way how we develop. That's why this announcement is so exciting.
Hello everyone and welcome to our VS Code Live. My name is Cynthia Zanoni and I'm Cloud Advocate here at Microsoft, and this session about GitHub Copilot Chat is part of the GitHub Copilot Global Bootcamp, a learning series that we are hosting in multiple languages here on the VS Code channel, and also have some in-person workshops happening across the globe. So for today's session, I want to welcome Loiane Groner, a Microsoft MVP, who is going to lead the learnings and share some great insights with us about GitHub Copilot Chat. Hello, Loiane, welcome.
Hey, Cynthia, thanks for having me here.
Oh, thanks for joining us. And I'm just happy to see we have people from many countries here. We have people coming from Mexico, United States, of course, from Redmond, and people from Italy as well. I saw a buongiorno in the chat, so welcome everyone. So we are very happy to have all of you with us today. So Loiane, before we jump into the content, so I want to ask you one very popular question here in this chat. What is your favorite VS Code theme?
I think my favorite theme is the Atom One Dart. I think it's the one that I'm using right now.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, because everyone all the time wants to know about some, tips and tricks on VS Code themes or your favorite extensions. So everyone now, Loiane is going to share with us some insights, and especially how she's using today VS Code to create her projects, and especially leverage all the potential we have with GitHub Copilot Chat, and especially this week after the open source announcement on the VS Code team. So we are very happy to say that you can not only learn more about how to use Copilot Chat, but also you can just jump into our GitHub and learn with the code and see how everything is working behind the scenes. So I think this is amazing. But now, Loiane, I'm going to having the host for you here on the stage, and I will be here on the backstage reading the chat. And please, everyone, share your questions, because I will be happy to back here with Loiane and share all your points and comments and everything. So thank you, Loiane, to be joining us today.
Thanks again, Cynthia. It's a pleasure being here with all of you. I am going to go directly to the point. If you can all confirm, I see some comments that the audio is echoing. If you can just confirm if it's still echoing, let me know, and we'll try to fix that. Well, I have VS Code, and today we're going to deep dive into GitHub Copilot, just trying to learn about the new functionalities. And also, I would like to show you how I personally use Copilot in my day-to-day professionally. I'm going to try to go through 3 different projects with you, and we'll see a little bit of front end, we'll see a little bit of back end, and we'll also see a little bit about testing, because honestly, for me, Copilot is the best tool to help me just to write tests, so I can focus on writing the business capabilities for my application, and then I'll leave the testing part with Copilot. But of course, it's very important for us to understand what Copilot is doing, because after all, the code is going to become ours. As the name already says, it's GitHub Copilot. We are still the pilots, and Copilot is here to help us as a best buddy in coding and programming. So I will keep an eye on the chat as well. So in case any of you has any questions, I'll try to read once in a while and then try to do my best to answer as many of you as I can. Okay, so first things first, I have an Angular project. It doesn't matter if you don't work with Angular, if you work with any other language or any other framework as well. But I would like to show you something here in VS Code. I'm going to open my package.json, and I do have a test and a test CI. So this is basically going to run some tests. This is one of the projects that I've been working from my YouTube channel. I made some changes this week, and I did not fix the tests on purpose, so I could actually use this session so we can do it together. So we have the test breaking right now. So what I'm going to do, I am going to run the test. I'll run the CI part since we have a little bit of code coverage as well, and you don't need to see all the actual tests running. So I'll just close here, and first things first, I'm just going to run the tests, and we'll see that the tests are failing. And once the tests are failing, I'm actually going to ask Copilot to help me to fix all the tests. So it's taking a little bit of a while, and again, this is live coding, folks, so it might take a while to do things, and also, especially with Copilot, we don't know what the answers we are gonna get. So again, we'll see how it goes with everything. So first it's going to build the application, and after that, it's just going to run all the tests. And meanwhile, again, how do you create the color folders? So I'm going to try to answer a few questions here. So I do have a few themes right now. The theme that I'm using, the color theme, I believe Cynthia asked me that before, is the Atom 1 Dark. So this is the one that I use. I've been using this for many, many years. And for the file icon theme, I'm using the material icon theme. So all of these are free, of course, and you can download that. So it is building, again, live coding. It always happens. Let me actually try to run the test one instead of the CI one. Let me open the terminal. Another one. It seems my computer is hanging a little bit because of that. I'm going to do one thing first. Let me actually try to do this again. Do a Control-C. I'm going to try to do this again. Let me force. Okay. We're gonna do this again one more time with the terminal. If my computer is helping me, maybe I need to give me 1 second. I'm actually gonna open my YouTube on my cell phone so I can see the comments from all of you, and then I'll close the window. Maybe that will help with this. Okay, let me close my YouTube window since I'm seeing the comments. And I'll try to see the ones over here. Okay, let me run again the npm run tests. I'll do the test this time. Okay, so I can see the comments again here on YouTube from my cell phone. Yes, I can definitely share the links of the projects that we're going to be working on. This is actually one of for Spring AI. I'll show you here as this is running. Let me open my GitHub. So the first project that I'll show you, one we're actually going to create from scratch. So the first one, it's called Spring AI Angular. And as this is building, I'm just going to bring this over here. So this is the first project, github.com/Loiane/spring-AI-Angular. We're building the Angular AI, which is the Angular project. that is part of this repo, but this is the repo that we are currently working on with. Let me come back. Okay, so now we got all the errors. This is good. All these errors are good because now we can use Copilot to help us fix those. So I'm going to finalize the session over here so we don't leave the test running. We have quite a lot of tests failing over here. So I'm just going to open the Copilot window. You can access from here, open chat. You can also use the shortcut as well. And Copilot has 3 modes right now. The ask mode, my favorite way to use the ask mode is whenever I'm working in a new project, and if I don't know the code base, or I would like to find something very specific about the code base, for example, where are the logs configured, or how is this project connecting to the database, or what a particular version, or even ask how can I upgrade the library. So just asking questions to Copilot, we can use the ask mode. For the edit mode, this is where we have a little bit more control. We can add the context to Copilot, so you can easily open a file. For example, if I open the package.json over here, you'll see that in the context itself, we will see that the package.json is being added. You can also add additional context. You can open folders, instructions, screenshots as well. There is also this at or the slash that you can add over here. And then you can do at workspace, for example, or generate unit tests. This is going to be a hybrid mode between the ask and added, where Copilot is going to tell you what to do, but it's not going to do that for you. So you're still in the pilot seat and you'll have full control on what Copilot is recommending you to do, and you can choose if you like to use the recommendation or not. And recently, we also have the agent mode. This is my favorite by far because we can do a lot of like vibe coding, sort of speak, activities with Copilot. With the agent mode, Copilot is working as an agentic AI and has full control on what it's doing. So it can be very, very independent. It's going to be one of the examples that we're going to be using here. So to show you how this works, what I will do, I'm just going to copy the first one. I'm not going to give it too much to Copilot at this time. So I'm going to copy the first one. And I'm going to give a simple instruction. Again, when it comes to prompt engineering with Copilot, you don't need those long prompts where you're providing all the context, because Copilot is already fine-tuned to help us with, coding tasks. So you don't have to specify, act like you are a developer. We don't need any of that. So I can be directly to the point with Copilot. So fix the issues with the tests. Here is one error I'm getting. And I'll just paste this here, and Copilot it will do its thing. So for the first prompt, I'm just gonna say, I'm having issues. This is the issue that I'm having. And then Copilot will try to understand first what I'm actually asking it to do. And it's saying, it just gives a summary. The test is trying to access a property that does not exist. So it's reading my component, the original source code, the one that I have generated tests for, and it will do all the reading, it will do some thinking, and then it will start fixing the code for me. But I've mentioned before that here, Copilot, the agent mode, Copilot is in control. It's very independent. But one thing that I like about this is that, again, I have a clean workspace. So my recommendation for you is to always have a clean workspace, no pending commits or anything. And then you start working with Copilot, because from the moment that Copilot will start modifying, we have Git source control, of course. And at the end, you will see that we can keep all the changes that Copilot is doing, or we can undo all the changes. So that's why I like to always recommend to always have a clean workspace before you actually start working with Copilot. So you can see here that Copilot's actually going to start changing the source code for me. And it already did a few other things. This is something that it's so beautiful. So whoever coded this, thank you so much, because this is a very, like, it's a time saver. So just recapping real quick here. Copilot analyzed the issue that we're having, fixed the issue, read all the source code. So I didn't have to specify what files to read because it has access to more workspace. It read the source code from the tests. It read the source code from the original file that the one that I have created tests for, changed the test cases, and now it is asking to actually run the test for me. So here is the beauty of it. I'm going to click on continue. And then Copilot is actually going to open a new terminal window. Just open a terminal window, and it's going to run this command for me. Notice, this is the beautiful part. Notice that for the first terminal that I have open, that's just a regular terminal. For the second terminal that we have open, we can see this GitHub icon. This means that Copilot is running this one, and it also has access not only to execute the commands as long as I am approving it to run the commands, but it will also going to be able to read all the contents. So if any errors happen while it's running this command, it's going to be able to read the errors and will try to fix any additional errors on its own. So all I can do here, just sit back and relax, get my water, my coffee, my tea, whatever is your beverage of preference, and you will see it in action. Activity tool. Let me take a look at the chat as Copilot is running a few tasks over here. If we use a particular model in chat or ask mode and then switch to another model, is the chat history still active? We can try that. Let's try that and see how it works. The one that I'm here right now is the Pro version. I am a GitHub Pro member. So that's the one that I am using. You can use this in the free version as well. This is in the preview. There are a few different models that are available. The GPT 4.1 and the GPT 4.0, they are included. In the Pro version, you also get the Claude Sonnet 4. This is actually my favorite model to use with, coding tasks, since we are in Copilot from all the ones that I have tested so far. But I also use the GPT 4.1 a lot professionally as well. What I would recommend here is just with the same prompt within the same project, just try the same prompt with different models and see which one that you prefer. I think at the end of the day, this is it will come to personal preference, which results you like the best. Clean workspace means that I don't have any pending commits. So the 2 commits that we have here, these are the ones that have been generated by Copilot. As you can see, we have 2 files changed so far, 3 files now, because Copilot found a few additional errors and is trying to fix that for me. So right now we can keep track of all the changes that Copilot is doing for us. And by clean workspace is that I don't have anything else. So the worst case scenario, all I have to do is just discard any of the changes and then try it again, maybe with a different model, or, do it manually, whatever you like to do next. That's what I've meant with a clean workspace, no pending commits. And again, I'm just chatting with all of you here, reading your comments, and Copilot's doing its thing. We don't have to do anything. The agent mode is doing everything for us. It's checking all the test cases, it's checking for all the errors. And this is because, again, it does have access to all the content from the terminal that is being active, and it's executing all the commands. Again, it's going to try to run all the tests again to see if all the changes have fixed all the issues. If you remember, when we ran the test right after we started this streaming, we had a lot of issues. I only provided one error message to Copilot, but because now it's trying to run all the tests within my workspace, within my project, it's also fixing all the additional errors. So again, you don't have to provide a lot of information. If you have multiple errors, provide the first one. And as long as you have the test executor working within your VS Code, Copilot's going to be able to do all the rest for you. I use this almost in a daily basis for my projects as well. So this is a work of art. Ricardo asked a question here. Does it work the same way with IntelliJ Ultimate? I do have a personal opinion about this here, because I'm also a user of the other IDEs with Copilot as well. It does work really well. But I think it's just a matter of personal preference. I love VS Code, and even when I'm working with Java projects, I tend to use VS Code with Copilot as well. But you can use with the other IDEs too. There are many other IDEs that are supported by VS Code. So yeah, you can definitely use that. And again, I had a lot of issues in this project, as you can see. So Copilot just keeps fixing all the issues for me, and I don't have to do anything. But one thing that I would highly recommend, right, because it's great that Copilot is fixing all the issues for us. But one thing that I would highly recommend you to do it, because at the end of the day, if I open my my source control here, I have these 3 files. I am the person that is committing this code. So whenever this code goes to GitHub, this is going to become my code. And I need to be able to understand what Copilot is generating. It is great that an AI tool can do a lot of the work for us. It actually makes us way more productive. But at the end of the day, this becomes our code. If somebody else is going to be doing the code review on all the fixes that we're doing here, I'm the person that is personally responsible for that. I cannot just say, no, this was Copilot. This is not my fault. So my suggestion is pay a lot of attention on the code that is being generated. Try to understand what it's doing, especially with testing. And again, I'm just going to hit continue here because Copilot has been working quite a while on this issue already. I'm still here. But especially with testing, Copilot is going to be able to read your source code, generate the test cases, but make sure that anything that is being generated, it has the business context. It is a test case that is adding value to your project, and it's the test data that you are providing is as close as the real data as it can be. Again, GitHub Copilot doesn't know anything about the business domain that is being used within this project or any other project. All it's doing is reading the source code, and it's doing the best that it can to generate the best test cases for us. So make sure that test data is real data or as close as it can be, so you are able to provide, the best source code that is being generated into your code base as well. So Ryan made a comment here in the chat as well. Let me continue to run the script here regarding the hallucinations. I would like to show you a very cool new functionality just to try to avoid a few things on the hallucinations here. But this is, I think, with the new instructions that we can provide to VS Code, and we'll see them in a while, that helps a lot with all the hallucinations. Again, checking the status of the build. It's going to build now to make sure that everything is working fine again. And this is another cool a nice functionality. We've been working on this for quite some time, right? If you have a very problematic project, in this case, this is a very problematic project, which we had a lot of test cases failing. Copilot will do everything to have everything fixed until everything is indeed fixed. So you'll notice that we had to click a couple of times. Are you still there? Copilot has been working quite a while on this issue. Would you like to continue? You can configure this by default. I think you have 15 prompts that Copilot will try. And otherwise, when you hit on continue, it sort of creates a summary of everything that has been done so far. And then it continues with prompting. So you can also configure this and increase the number of the max number of prompts that Copilot is working with in case you like to. I personally like 15. For me, works really well. I don't mind having to click on the continue button. And it also kind of forces me to follow everything that Copilot is doing and making sure that I understand all the changes that Copilot is doing. So as we can see now, it looks like the tests have been reduced and it's working. And it's going to run a build if there is still any compilation errors. So we're almost done with this first task. This is great. What are all the extensions I have installed on my VS Code? I have quite a lot of extensions. I can show you them as well. Let me just check if Copilot is almost done. What's happening? Just checking with the last terminal. It seems that I have still one issue. So the fix that it tried didn't actually work. So it's going to try to fix that again. So again, it will keep trying until it gets it right. It is always good to test the changes and that it makes. I try using for make file updates and it formatted the file incorrectly. Yes, that's the beauty as well. We can see here that the 4 files have changed. When Copilot stops doing any of the changes, we can keep the changes or we can undo the changes. So this is a very powerful functionality as well. In case the result is not the one that you are expecting, you can always undo. And again, I'm gonna go back. Always have like a clean workspace here with no pending commits. So in case you forget to, because I tend to always keep the changes here and then I will do my own inspection. But worst case scenario, you can always undo your Git changes as well. Can you give an estimate about how many premium requests your current workflow will consume? Right now, we made a few requests right here. I would think maybe we are at 15 to 20 requests so far throughout this demo. Yeah, so maybe 15 to 20, depending. We can always come back and also check the details as well, because the history will you can keep the history in your session too. Would you recommend maintaining Copilot instruction file for generating code? This is another tip that I was going to do. I'm going to show you in the next example as soon as Copilot is done with this one. What I usually do for things that are a little bit more complex or prompts that are I write my prompt, I do some formatting as well, and then I'll copy paste here. And I do have my own library of the prompts that I like to use for projects, especially if you're working with like legacy projects, and if you're trying to add code coverage, or if you're trying, to fix something. And you'll notice that there are some prompts that you're always repeating, just changing the context a little bit. So I do like to keep my own library of prompts as well, and then I can go back to it, refer, modify as needed, and then come back to Copilot and then ask Copilot, just prompt Copilot with whatever I'm asking it to do. There's another question: if it ever gives up. Sometimes it does gives up. Sometimes it will try to fix it. Again, depends on the model that you are using as well. That's why I recommend to test different models. With this model in particular, it rarely gives up. With a few other models, I've noticed that sometimes it will give up after certain tries. But then what I'm gonna do, I'm going to do my own inspection, and I will rephrase my prompt, and then I will try again, maybe with a little bit more context. Or sometimes if your prompt is too big, if you're asking too much of Copilot, because here I've asked too much of Copilot. I have to be honest. I only provided one test error, but we had a lot of test errors here. So Copilot is doing everything for me. So it's going above and beyond of what I have asked it to originally do. So one of the recommendations as well, and again, you can create your own workflow on how you like to use Copilot as well. But if it is a big ask, what I would recommend is maybe try to break it down into smaller tasks, especially when working sometimes with legacy code and you have, you're not refactoring the entire code so you can write tests, and you have many different branches and many different conditions that you like to cover as well. So instead of asking Copilot to, for example, generate unit test cases with, I don't know, minimum 90% of code coverage, I will ask Copilot to create unit test cases for only one method or function of my file, and then I will do that until I have the desired coverage. And one more time, made a few additional fixes, and it will try to run one more time before it finally ends. Let's hope for that. Scott is asking, any chance you share your prompt library? So since we're talking about prompt library, I would like to share something with all of you. I will let Copilot do its magic, right? So let me share this other GitHub repo. This is somewhat recent. I think this is like a week or 2 weeks since it has been publicly released. This is an official GitHub repository. It's the github.com/github/awesome-copilot, and it's open source. Feel free to contribute, but it has a lot of customizations. You have custom instructions for Angular, ASP.NET, Azure Functions, C# as well, a few other libraries and languages, Java development, Go development. So these are custom instructions that you can use, and there are also some reusable prompts. So if you like to create a ASP.NET minimum API with OpenAI, you just use this prompt. There is also prompts here for creating implementation plan, for creating a GitHub issue. There is one that I really like, especially if you have to do reverse engineering. If you have like a legacy project where you don't know the code base really well and you like to generate some documentation, there are prompts for this. JUnit 5 best practices in case you are using Java as well. JavaScript, TypeScript, Jest test cases with best practices. So we have a lot of reusable prompts. And again, this is open source. If we go to the top, we will see that we have a lot of pull requests with folks also adding for Playwright, SQL development guidelines, Power Platform. So feel free to, add your own instructions. That's the beauty and the power of the open source community as well. Okay, what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna keep this. My computer is a little bit slow today as well, but I think you can all get the gist. Until Copilot is fully satisfied with everything that is being generated, it will keep iterating until everything is created. But I would like to show you something else as well. Since we have touched on the instructions, let me create a brand new session over here. So this is an Angular project, right? If you go to these 3 dots here on the top, you can see view more instructions and actions. You can create prompt files. You can create configure instructions as well. So when you configure instructions, select the instruction files to open. It seems that I have already created one here. Let me just remove this one. Pretend that this is not here. So we're going to create a new one. And I'm going to create a new instruction file. This is going to be as part of the instructions. So if this doesn't exist, it's going to create the .github/instructions folder for you. Or you can also create under your user data folder. So if you do a lot of Java development and if you like to create instructions for GitHub Copilot to always use those best practices that you have defined or your own prompts, how you have defined, you can save this in your own computer. So that applies to every Java project that you are working on. Or you can also use this per repository as well. So if in case you like to be a little bit more specific. So you can create instructions and I can, for example, Angular best practices, and it will create the file for me. So you can apply this to only certain files, and then you can add all your coding standards. So for example, if I come back here to this repository, and I'll check for the Angular development instruction, you can install this directly as well. But if I just get the raw version of this file, I can simply copy paste, put it in my repo. And moving forward, whenever I am prompting Copilot, Copilot will use these instructions. So this is everything. The beauty of adding the instructions file is that if you like to add some domain knowledge that might help Copilot to generate better code for you, or code that is closer to the one that you write yourself, you can also do that. So you can add the project context, architecture, how you like to create components, how you like to create your files, if you like to do a package by layer or package by domain. So you can add all these details right here. And again, everybody on your team can contribute as well. And then Copilot will use these instructions for the next time that you are prompting. If you're using Copilot within GitHub, because I don't know if all of you is already aware of this functionality, but you can use Copilot in Copilot workspaces in GitHub and ask Copilot, for example, to do code reviews for you. And I think this repository is already using this functionality as well. So in some of these pull requests, so for example, the joyride instructions, again, I'm just going to pick the first one. Copilot is doing a pull request overview. So in case you do have this instructions file within your repo and you are using GitHub as well, you can leverage Copilot to do code reviews for you as well before anybody else on your team is able to, merge this pull request. And Copilot can also apply changes for you. So in case it does find a security vulnerability or it finds a typo, it can fix that as well. So this is just a different way that you can use Copilot, not only within VS Code or within your IDE. Now, what I would like to do here And I'm just going to go to my second example. Let me open a new terminal over here. I'm just going to go back to, let me see, my terminal seems to be, okay. Let me go back to the development. I'm going to generate a new Angular project. And I think I used this for the first time a few weeks back, and I was really amazed with the results, especially because it generated code way better than I could generate it. So I was very, very impressed with this functionality. I'm going to create a brand new project. I'm going to call VS Live Copilot. So all I'm doing here is just using a CLI tool from Angular to generate a brand new project for me. Just going to prompt me to add, I'm going to use SAS. I don't need SSR. And it creates a brand new project. Just going to do the npm install. And then what I'm going to do, I actually have a file in my desktop. So this is one of the projects that I also have in my GitHub. It's just a simple e-commerce application where I have a shopping cart, I have a list of items, and I have an order summary as well. This was created using Angular. Again, you can use any front-end library, anything that you like to use. And I am going to provide the screenshot to Copilot, and I'm going to ask to recreate this. So this is very useful. For example, if you are using, if you're working with a design team, and the design team, sometimes they might provide you with the HTML code and the JavaScript and CSS, or sometimes they might only provide you with an image. So Copilot can also recreate that and be as close as possible, only with that with that screenshot. So VS Live, and I am going to ask to code in this. I'm just going to reload the project. And it reloaded the project. So I have the brand new project now in VS Code. You can also add a style guide as well. For sure, you can also do a style guide. So I'm just going to open Copilot again. What I am going to do, I'm going to add as a context. You can add a context. I find it easier to actually desktop to actually drag and drop. There you go. And I am going to, and again, I'm going to just create a new file for me. Again, very basic prompt. We don't need anything fancy. Create a new component named shopping cart that will contain two other components: the list of items in the cart and the other summary. So this is my prompt, part of my prompt. Let me just do a, where is it? The other of the summary. Follow the screenshot provided as a guide and try to generate a screen as close as possible. The screenshot provided, and here I'm going to add card.png. If you have your instructions, you can add generate this with Angular material. If you don't specify anything, Copilot will just try to use just plain HTML and CSS. So I'm just going to do this. And then again, this is a brand new project. and we will see Copilot do its magic. So I'll close this. I don't have to save my prompt. It's going to use the reference, and we'll start creating the components for me. First, it's going to read its package.json. It's going to see that it's using Angular. We have a routes, and then it will start creating the components. There's a question here. How to have Copilot create custom CDK-based components. Again, you can use the instructions file in case you have your own library. There is one thing that is very interesting. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, so I'll let Copilot do its work. I will put another file. So for this particular framework, it created this LLM text. So this is very useful as well. Again, if you're part of an open source community, you can create your LLM text as well, or ask for the language or framework that you use. This really helps, and all it's doing is what is a component, and it's linking back to the components documentation. So you can try to create something as close as this as well. So in your instructions document that you are adding to repository, just add the link to your documentation or some examples, and then Copilot can use it as well to generate components and use any sort of styles that you are already using that's part of the company that you work for, and so on. So that would be my recommendation. There's another question. How can I use Copilot if I'm working with a new framework or technology in a project? Because I will have a lot of questions to understand and then learn while I do the project. There's a funny story. The reason that I've mentioned that I've tried this with the screenshot a few weeks back, I was trying to create a project with Angular version 20. Angular version 20 had not been released by then. And I did specify to Copilot, use Angular version 20. Angular was in a release candidate version, and I did provide the exact path of the documentation of the Angular 20. And I've also asked to use some of the new functionalities that was being released with that particular version. And only providing the link, it was able to generate that. So again, my recommendation will be just try to provide the documentation, any sort of documentation that you are able to, or add this as part of instructions file within your workspace to let Copilot to use those instructions to help generate more accurate results. Can Copilot follow a repeated dev workflow, like create a feature branch, update code, write and validate unit tests, commit, raises? Watch the next session where they will talk about MCP servers. There's a lot of great capabilities that came with the support of MCP that you can actually create pull requests and everything. But for like a feature branch, what Copilot can do for you in the agent mode, if you create a prompt and ask to do that, it will create the terminal commands for you, and you'll have to click and execute the commands because it will not do on its own. So anything like before executing any sort of commands in the terminal, Copilot will always prompt to ask for permission. It will not do on its own. The only thing that it is doing on its own is reading the source code, modifying the source code, because we can always undo the changes, right? But anything that requires permission to run commands, it will prompt and ask your permission, and you'll have to click on the button to actually run the command in the terminal. So yeah, it's creating all the components for me. And again, it is also modifying the original component, since this is a brand new application. And again, it's modifying all the files for us. So it have created a cart items because I've asked to create a cart items, I've asked to create an order summary, and I've asked to create a shopping cart. And it has added the shopping cart component as the main component here. So again, it's still working, just doing some updates. But for the other components, let's take a look at the source code here. It is generating the source code. It has generated styles as well. Again, it's not using any component library because I haven't specified. If I haven't specified and I don't have anything in my package.json, then it's just going to generate plain CSS as well. Let me see any other questions. Ryan made a comment regarding the Angular 20. Current LLMs were trained is why I believe that Copilot should be the orchestrated and leverage specialized MCP agents. I completely agree with you. And that's the beauty of the MCP servers and agents as well with Copilot. There was a question, can Copilot read Excel file and write automation test code? I haven't tried that yet, to be honest. But no, I haven't tried that yet. So that will be a fun experiment to do it. Yeah, so let me know if any of you has any other questions. Copilot is still working on this. And it's updating all the remaining files. Let me close all these files right here and see what else is pending. If not, then we will see what is the result that is being generated by Copilot as well. Again, sit back, relax, and enjoy your favorite beverage as we see Copilot doing its magic. How does Copilot determine which suggestion is the most contextually accurate when there are multiple possible continuations? So, as anything in software development, right, there are always multiple choices that we can do here. First, it will read all the dependencies that you are using in your projects, right? And also with all the, there was an error here. So rephrase or prompt. Let me try again, and then it will just continue working on this. It will read the context of the project first. One of the first things that it will do, if you're working with Java, it will go to your pom.xml. It will check the Java version you're using. If you're using React or Angular or Vue or any of the other front-end libraries or frameworks, it will read your package.json to try to understand the context. In case I do have, for example, Angular material already installed in my package.json, it will try to leverage what I already have. Since I don't have anything in this project, it will just create just plain HTML and CSS for me. But if we have something already installed, it will try to follow what you already have. In some of the prompts that I've tried as well in some of my Java projects, it made recommendations to add additional dependencies. And it actually gave me 2 recommendations. I was writing some test cases and I wanted to add coverage for a few conditions. And, so I have coverage in all the branches. So it actually recommended me to use like Power Mockito. There was another library. But since that library was using, was a dependency of JUnit 4, and then I was using JUnit 5 in this project, I just mentioned, I'm using JUnit 5, these libraries are not supported by JUnit 5, and it actually tried a different approach, which actually ended up working. So again, one of the beautiful things of working in technology and software development, there isn't only one way of doing things. And with all this is way, this is not actually my area of expertise, how Copilot is being trained, how the LLMs are being trained, but I believe that this will be part of how the data that is being provided to the LLMs, to the models, and how they are trained to actually be able to do the fine tuning, so the tool can provide the best responses for us. Let me see any other questions. This is a very nice, very interesting question. Can Copilot recognize any false information provided in the instruction file, or it will generate code by hallucinating those instructions? I haven't tried that, to be honest, as well. This is another very good exercise to do. Let me do one thing, since this is taking some time. Let me try to do my shopping cart. I think it's the shopping cart, right? Just so we can see what is the result here. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to replace everything in my app.html. When you generate code, it creates a lot of sample file, like just a sample file. And think I already have the shopping cart component here. So let me open that again, and I'm gonna keep all the projects, all the files here. All I wanna do is see what was the result that was generated from this exercise, so you can also see the output of this. So what I'll do here, I'm just gonna run the serve so we can check on the browser and also check if there are any errors from this exercise. My computer is also not helping today because it's a little bit slow. Are those agents owned by Microsoft? So it really depends on the models, right? So we have GPT from OpenAI. We have Claude as well. That's not Microsoft. We have Gemini from Google as well. So we have different LLMs here from different providers. Okay, you want to see my extension. So as I'm running the server, I have a few extensions here. For Angular, I actually have an extension pack with all my extensions. So this is my Angular extension pack. Let me close this one. This is where I have all my Angular extensions. I also have Java extension pack, TypeScript as well. I have a few ones to work with Docker containers. This is the Java.env, the editor config, ESLint. I have a few other themes as well, Copilot, of course, IntelliCode, just to work with tests, Live Server, just so you can serve HTML files. I really like this one. I have a few database ones depending on the database that I'm working with as well. REST client, this is a great sort of like Postman alternative. Spring Boot. But I do create profiles for the extensions. For this project, I don't have any profiles, but I do have profiles whenever I'm switching between Java and Angular, which is mainly the languages and frameworks that I use in my day-to-day. So you can create profiles in VS Code as well and select which are the extensions that you would like to use. So you don't have to have the Angular extensions loaded as you're working with Java and vice versa. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see what it has generated. And let me open the VS Live Copilot over here. let's see if we have any sort of, yeah, it's pretty close. It's a lot of pink for me, but we can work on this and maybe ask. Let me open the original as well, so we have it side by side. Okay. But yes, this is pretty close. Some styling different as well, but this is functioning. You see, we can like free. Yeah, it's functioning as well.
That's amazing. We have a real world wireframe working with all the front end. So this is amazing, Loiane. People here in the chat just love all the examples you shared during the session. So, and I think now finally with the front end and showing that we can ask help for Copilot to create for this. So I think it's just awesome. So thank you.
And it was
so
only a
much for
screenshot.
all the tips and tips. Nice. Let me see here if you have any other question, because as you already covered many points during the session, so I think one question from, let me see here, about the vulnerabilities on the package.json. So I think one interesting point is about you can work with all the GitHub ecosystem features, like starting you to code with Copilot in your VS Code. And then, for example, if you have your code hosted on a GitHub repo, you can also leverage the GitHub Advanced Security to create the tasks to review and especially watch all the packages and resources you have defined into your project, and then ask for help, from GitHub Advanced Security to help you to update and fix this kind of stuff. So I don't know, Loiane, if you have any additional tips that you want to share here with the chat. And again, everyone, please connect with Loiane on LinkedIn, X, and also take a look on her YouTube channel, because she has a lot of great content there. So I think it would be awesome if you all can join as well.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Cynthia, like the GitHub Actions ecosystem, right? With GitHub Copilot as well, just integrate that with code reviews, Dependabot that you can also enable in the securities tab. You can actually ask, create the GitHub Actions as well to keep your dependencies up to date. I do that. I'm just gonna use Angular as an example, since that was the framework that I've added. But I do have actions to update my Angular version every month, basically, just to keep all those dependencies update. But the one thing that I will also recommend in those instructions files, after you have created your code, you can also ask Copilot to go back and check to see if there is any security vulnerability or any of those top OWASP security failures that can happen within the application, and also work with Copilot, since those are pretty well-known recipes for some of the fixes, and then include that in your code. Again, go step by step, try to provide smaller tasks to Copilot, and until you have a production ready code.
Perfect. Yes, I think this is one of the best advice, because we are all learning, and every day we have a new stuff available on GitHub Copilot and VS Code. So the best is, to start, we need to test and explore to see what we can do. And as I already shared in the beginning, so all the code from GitHub Copilot Chat extension for VS Code is available open source in your GitHub repo. So you literally can go there and ask for Copilot what is happening on that code to understand, behind the scenes. So I think this is pretty awesome. So Loiane, thank you so much for your time today, for joining our VS Code land here in the VS Code YouTube channel. We hope to see you again back in soon with more insights and sharing your learnings with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks for having me again.
Bye-bye, everyone. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a like so you can watch this session anytime you want. So, and happy to have you with us today. So, see you.